All right, what's up, guys? Short video here, recapping yesterday and what's going on with Clemson and the college football world. So, Tigers look back to normal yesterday, absolutely dominating performance. Um, 45 to 14 win. Florida State's touchdowns were both in trash time, and the offense wasn't perfect, but it looked amazing early on. Looked great. I think we were up 21 to nothing at the end of the first quarter, and then got up 28. We were up 28 to nothing. Could have and should have easily been 42 to nothing at halftime. Couple mistakes, field goal issues. We look like Alabama. Uh, the old Saban kicker problems is what it looked like, but I think we'll figure that out. And hopefully we won't need. I mean, I know we won't need that. Hopefully in the regular season, I don't see any games being close again. But the offense it really shined. The defense looked amazing as usual. Florida State came in with some confidence. We took it right out of them. Uh, you know, they had not had anything but close games all year. That wasn't the case yesterday. Absolute blowout. We took their souls in the first quarter. ETN had an amazing day. Ross had a good day. Um, T. Higgins got shaken up, but just all around, Lawrence did throw that one bad interception, but you know he's got to stop making those throws. But you can't complain. He dominated early on. Got taken out early in the third quarter. He looked a lot of those throws yesterday. Those were Heisman caliber throws. So no complaints. That could have easily been a game with the scoreline like last year. If Dabo had wanted it to, but he had, third stringers in by the beginning of the fourth quarter. So they never had a chance. What is up, Will Jones? Appreciate it, man. Thanks for tuning in. What was I saying, Lord? Yeah, amazing job by this team. But, and yeah, there was an article too today on Twitter. I guess some Florida State calling about Dabo being classless and running the score up or something, or yelling at the kicker, which I thought was a joke. Okay, we literally called off the dogs pretty much at halftime. Dabo was upset because we missed a chip shot field goal. Any coach is going to be upset with that. They said it was classless. No, and he came out there and he was talking to him. And we are switching kickers this week, but I'm sure we will probably end up going back to him. We'll see. To good old Potter. So, all that being said, great game for Clemson. They look just as dominant as any other team has, and we took all our starters out. We don't do that whole running the score up thing, keeping our quarterback in until the fourth quarter when we're up big to pad stats and go for the Heisman. I'd love to see a Tiger win a Heisman, but it's going to probably have to be a running back because they can get all those yards early. And ETN, man, if he dominates, he should be in consideration. But, with ACC strength of schedule, who knows? So, speaking of that, I'm not really worried about it because the playoff polls haven't come out. The AP polls, it's sports writers. They're biased. They're not paid to not they're paid not to be biased, but they're all biased. And I took journalism classes. Uh, I did sports journalism. I did a lot of work, with athletic programs, college athletic programs, and I can tell you, there's bias. There's bias. I don't care what you say. And there's, with these writers, honestly, the coaches are smarter than them. And the AP poll, it's been sketchy for years, but the disrespect Clemson's getting, man, y'all, people are joking, Dabo's looking for something when there's nothing. Da 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 da. Look, Clemson has won two out of the last three national championships. Okay, Clemson has won 21 straight games. Most of them have been blowouts, and Clemson's dropping. We have one close game, and it's like the media just was waiting for it to jump on it. They don't learn. It happened last year. Okay? It happened last year, and all the same talk happened in 2016. When we lose to Pitt, all the same talk happens. Any close games, and it just doesn't. I don't get it. Had Alabama been in the same situation, what's up, Hash Brown? Yeah, think about it. Alabama, they've had a lot of close games in the Nick Saban era. In this dynasty they have, they've lost games. They've lost games to Ole Miss. There is no change in perception of the team whatsoever. Where is there a change? They lose to Ole Miss. Oh, they're going to bounce back and win a national championship. Everybody's still scared of Bama. The ESPN's still all over them, pumping them up. Oh, pray for the next opponent, da-da-da-da-da. And, there was a little bit of that, but we mauled Florida State. The media doesn't care. The AP voters don't care. Now, LSU, they've played 2 ranked teams. They beat a good Florida team. They beat a mediocre Texas team. I don't even know if Texas is much better than Texas A&M. They played pretty good against Oklahoma, but, they fold. Their defense, they're soft. Their defense is soft. But because of that SEC patch, LSU automatically gets that bump up. Alabama has not done a single thing more impressive than Clemson, except for not have a close game. But look, you play at South Carolina, which I guess people are going to be considering that a quality win now since they upset Georgia. Look, South Carolina's not a good team. They were on their 3rd string quarterback. They don't have a great defense at all, and they were making Georgia's offense look like just pathetic. I mean, but I guess that'll be a quality win. Whatever. Alabama goes. They dominated South Carolina, right? They've been giving up a ton of yards. Their defense is their defense is much worse than Clemson's, much worse. And the opponents have been very similar. North Carolina beat South Carolina. Yeah, we had a close game with them, but they beat South Carolina. So, Alabama, I didn't see the actual points. I need to go back and look at it. But for them to be ranked a good bit and getting a lot more votes than Clemson, it's a joke. And you know what? We're going to beat Alabama if we play them again. It's going to happen. They can't stop our offense. And I think we've proven we can stop their defense, or at least hold. And nobody holds in the red zone better than Clemson's defense. And that's true last year. It was true in 2017, 16, and 15. And it's true in 2019 as well. Okay? So, even when Clemson is dominating, they're not going to get respect. And the ACC is horrible. Yeah, I agree, Hash Brown. It's helping. I'm not mad in the sense that it's ruining our season or anything, but it is annoying. But at the same time, yeah, we're going to dominate now. Like, any chance that Clemson had of not getting to the playoff and not blowing everybody out left on the schedule has gone away. South Carolina, they beat Georgia. They're going to get destroyed by Clemson, especially after putting a bunch of yards on Clemson last year. Y'all pray for South Carolina. And who else? Wake Forest, good Lord. I had a little bit of hope that they were going to hang on and be undefeated when we played them. But, Lord, they're Wake Forest, and they showed they're a Wake Forest. Louisville's a surprise team, but I'll talk about Louisville later. Might make another video later this week about the Louisville game. They've been impressive. But yes, our schedule sucks. We can't help that. Our schedule sucks. Everybody we play from here on out sucks. They do. But if we blow them all out, I promise you, we're not going to get the same amount of spread. Look, if we keep our starters in and we blow everybody out, will we get the same respect that Jalen Hurts in Oklahoma got before the Texas game when they had blown out a bunch of trashy teams? Or, Fields in Ohio State, man, they're getting pumped up like crazy, blowing out a bunch of trashy teams. Clemson does it with proven national champions. And everybody's just, talking, Clemson's got a lot of holes, da-da-da-da-da-da. So I don't think we're going to get left out of the playoff, but I think there's a real possibility of us moving down, I guess. Being a 4 seed, which is fine in Atlanta. But, hold on, there we go. All right. Yeah, there's a good chance that we're a 4 seed playing in Alabama. Playing in the Georgia Dome. Fine with me, we'll dominate. But a lot of people are also comparing this Clemson team this year to the 2014 Florida State team, and that is a joke as well. Now, look, the ACC was not good in 2014. It might have been slightly better. It might have been slightly better than it is now. slightly. It was not good. Florida State had a ton of, what was it, 4 or 5 one possession games that year in the ACC, and against a horrible Florida team. Clemson had one close game against a national championship coach. One. In a game where we played horrible and still won. To compare this Clemson team to the 2014 Florida State team is just bad football talk. This Clemson team would massacre the 2014 Florida State team. I mean, massacre them. That's a joke. It's just all a joke. I always get worked up about this stuff when I shouldn't because it's all going to sort itself out. But it's just funny, obviously Clemson didn't get any respect when they were trying to get that first national championship, but we've won 2 out of the last 3. We've won 21 straight games, and people are still saying that we're the 5th or 6th best team. So it's just funny. And there is no dominant conference this year. You got the SEC, who's got LSU and Alabama, maybe. We thought Georgia, no. Florida, their defense is good, but they're not a college football playoff contender. So you've got LSU and maybe Alabama. And, Alabama could beat LSU, but I don't see it happening right now with that defense they have. But then again, LSU doesn't have a defense, y'all. That game is going to be a lot different than past LSU Alabama games. That game could be 55-52. I mean, neither of those teams have a pulse on defense. So it'll be a fun game to watch. That'll be a hard one to pick. But whoever wins that will be ranked number 1 with 1,000,000 points ahead of everybody else until they get blown out by Clemson in the playoff. And then, we'll hear another excuse. Oh, they beat up. They had to play Alabama or they had to play LSU while Clemson was resting. That's true. But then again, we thought the Oklahoma-Texas game was going to be like that. And it was, 6-0 until halfway through the second quarter. So you just never know. Sometimes those games you think are going to be huge blowouts when they're big games or huge high-scoring games actually end up being lower scoring. So we'll see. So hash brown, yeah, that's true. I will admit, when they've tried to hype LSU up the last few years, I've been like, okay, yeah. And normally they haven't played anybody or haven't beat anybody. They're beating up on those teams like Mississippi State, who are always ranked about 25th, but end up going 8-5 and they suck. Y'all know how the SEC hype machine works. So they'll get that, 5-0, da-da-da-da-da. Was it last year? What were they when they went into Alabama game last year? Were they undefeated? I want to say they were undefeated or either close to undefeated in a top 10 team. And they got blanked at home. What was it, 24-0 to Alabama? Looked just like a, Vandy almost. Their defense played pretty good against Alabama, but we obviously know that's gone now. So, yeah, I'm hesitant to say that this is a different team, but I think everybody's just saying it because they're not used to them having an offense, which they have now. And who cares about defense? Oklahoma last year, they had an amazing offense. They made the playoff. They had horrible defense. This LSU defense is at least better than that. So I think that they can beat Alabama this year. Clemson showed there's a lot of flaws on this Alabama defense, and it's not any better this year. That Alabama defense is not any better. And here's another point. I'm not going to be on here too much longer, but I'll say this too. I want to get into this. The announcers during the Clemson game, this was where the media disrespect comes into play. The announcers during the Clemson game continuously, this happened multiple times, talked about the loss to North Carolina. And other college football experts, the loss to North Carolina. Okay, yeah, we beat North Carolina, and it didn't go into overtime like another guy said during the TV broadcast. I don't know what it is, but people just don't do their research on Clemson, and I guess it helps us in crunch time. But also, that's right. Yep, they had lost to Florida, which I think was a good game. So Another guy on ESPN was ranking. He said it was Alabama and Clemson 1 and 2. At least he had that. But he said, yeah, Alabama. I got them over Clemson because they won by more against Texas A&M. And I heard that from multiple people. And they scored a bunch of points on A&M and Clemson did. First of all, Clemson could have easily scored way more points. We had once again had our starters out against them. We were up 24 to 3. They scored on the last play. Otherwise, we would have beat them by the same exact amount as Alabama. And we had a ton of yards on them. And we didn't give up anything. What did we hold them? I know we held them to under 300 yards. What they put up on Alabama, a ton of yards and a good bit of points. So I don't know, guys. I just feel like these people are not doing their homework. And I just got to hope that the college football committee does because I don't think Clemson will be left out. I mean, Lord knows the things that will happen if an undefeated defending national champion, 28-game winning streak Clemson gets left out of the playoff. There will be revolts. But you got to hope the college football playoff committee has some common sense. And the SEC homerism that has been proven wrong time and time again since 2013. And time again, it's been proven that Alabama is the only team with a pulse when it comes to the big games in the SEC. But that's all. Oh, Lord, I can't tell y'all how tired I am of hearing it. It's fun to talk trash and do all that, but literally after 3 or 4 or 5 years of Clemson being elite and all you hear, even when our schedule was one of the toughest in the country. 2016 and 2017, Clemson had a top 3 schedule in the country. And we still heard this nonsense about schedules. And y'all, I don't know about y'all, but I'm just getting tired of it. I mean, it's just boring at this point. So many fan bases, they don't have another thing to say to Clemson fans except for schedule. They don't have a single thing except for schedule. And now they've been going all crazy over the close North Carolina game. And I can tell you this. It's a great time to be a Tiger when all that's the case. When all anybody can say is talking about the ACC because your team just went in there and whooped everybody in the playoff last year. Man, it is what it is. Like I said, Clemson's going to show them again. So it's no big deal. Yeah, I don't know. Some announcers I like. Clemson hasn't had a game day game in so long. I love the game day announcers, but when was the last time we were on game day? What was it, 2017? We didn't have any last year, I'm pretty sure. So, I don't know. Maybe the A&M game was. I can't remember. My mind's not with me tonight. But, yeah. Yeah, we're too... I'll tell you what. Hey man, if we only drop 50 on Louisville, oof, y'all, we might drop to number 6 or 7. If we only beat them by 50 points, if Ohio State beats or Oklahoma beats Iowa Atlantic or Iowa Atlantic High School, they're not even on the Atlantic, they'll be moving up. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here and rant a little bit, have some fun with it. And that's another point there. Everybody's talked about this upset with Georgia. Sure, yeah, they've talked about it. And still, I feel like, Clemson had... People are writing Clemson off worse than they are Georgia when they lost to South Carolina. And South Carolina's a worse team than North Carolina. Georgia was at home. Georgia was between the hedges. They couldn't score 20 on that South Carolina defense. Y'all, App State's going to score like 30-something on that defense. And Georgia couldn't score 20 at home. So, that was funny. Y'all know how I feel about Georgia. So, that's the only game of the whole season, any season, just about any time I could ever say, I'm not really upset South Carolina won. That's the only game. So... We'll see what happens with Louisville. We got that noon kickoff. Then we got BC. And just a bunch of cupcakes. Yeah, Raven, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that game. Alabama's schedule, man. if they stay number one, if they stay number one up until that LSU game, and you know they will, no matter, Clemson could win by 75 against the rest of the teams, and you know that Alabama's going to stay number one no matter how close or how bad their defense looks, because they got to have those ratings when they play Auburn and they play LSU later in the year, because Alabama doesn't play a team with a pulse. And I know Clemson doesn't play anybody either. I know. But Alabama doesn't play anybody until November. Yet, we still are hearing schedule excuses from Alabama fans and SEC homers talking about Alabama's schedule. Y'all, Alabama's had an easy schedule the last few years. And, you know, what is there's no good reason for them to be number one, like I said earlier, and there's not going to be for that game. I kind of want to see LSU win that game. I think it'd be fun to play somebody else in the playoffs besides Alabama. I know it'd be great to have that, fifth win against Alabama, take the series, all that good stuff. And it's become a good little rivalry just because of this playoff thing, but I think it'd be pretty fun to play somebody else. I wanted to play Georgia because, Lord, I can't tell you how much joy it would bring me to knock Georgia out and keep them from winning a national championship again and keep that 1980 streak going. But our little brothers beat us to it this year, so there's that. LSU fans, fake Death Valley, the gumbos down there that don't even know how to speak, couldn't even pronounce Death Valley. That'd be fun to beat them because they have an arrogant fan base too. They think they're Alabama. If y'all have talked to a lot of LSU fans, I don't hate LSU. I don't even hate Alabama, but they have some very arrogant fans. So it'd be nice to shut them up too. Those are the only two SEC teams I see having any chance at all. And then Oklahoma, yeah, we'll beat Oklahoma, and Ohio State, yeah, we'll beat Ohio State. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here for tonight. Thank y'all for joining me, everybody who joined. I'll probably talk a little bit about the Louisville game because this Louisville game, I honestly thought they'd be a 1-5 team going into this game. They've been very impressive given their roster and what they, inherited. Honestly, they have a worse roster than Georgia Tech. Yeah, Raven, Clemson, Georgia. Y'all give me Clemson, Georgia over South Carolina, Clemson every year and twice on Sunday. South Carolina, and don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to going in there and blowing out South Carolina in the Roach, as we normally do. But that Georgia-Clemson game would have national championship implications, be a lot more fun than Clemson-South Carolina. South Carolina's just horrible program. So I'm glad we're renewing that rivalry. But anyway, guys, I'll probably get on here later this week, talk a little bit about Louisville. We'll see maybe after that how far we drop. So go Tigers. Hope everybody has a good week as we get ready to really get into the fall season here. That good old fall weather has started. So go Tigers. Y'all all have a good one.